Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. If this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome. I'm Justin with ExcelSmith. If you've been here before, we're excited to have you back. In this video, we're building an equation using the let and mid functions to extract employee ID from some fictitious data. The mid function has been around forever. The new kid on the block is the let function, which is available in Excel 365 and Excel 2021. In addition to that new function smell, let lets us use variables, which makes our final solution easier to build, read, and update. Let's get started. Column A contains our made-up data. The challenge with this output is that while the employee ID has a consistent identifier of empID, this identifier has a different location in each of the examples. Additionally, the ID itself is a different length across the four output values. We'll use the mid function to extract the employee ID. To do this, we'll first identify the beginning location of empID, then moving over a number of characters equal to the length of empID, making sure to account for the space. Next, we need to find the end of the employee ID, which is the first asterisk after the starting value. Lastly, we need to use these starting and ending values to extract the employee ID number. Column C contains an example of how we might solve this without using the let function. Yikes, it works, but it's definitely hard to read. Separating the parameters of the mid function onto their own line isn't much better. Let's drag down the formula bar to see the entire equation. This is how we had to do it in the olden days. Thanks to modern advancements in Excel technology, we now have access to the amazing let function. In cell B2, type an equal sign, the function name let, and an open parentheses. Let works by setting a variable name and then the value of that variable. We can then repeat this pattern for however many variables we need. Spoiler alert, this equation will have three variables. The first variable we want to set is for the string empID. As we can see in the long form equation, this string is used all over the place. By setting this value to a variable, we only have to type the string once. This minimizes the chances for making an error, as well as making it easier if we ever need to update the value, as we only have to update it in one place. You can set the variable name to anything you'd like, but I'm going to use the variable name key since this value is key to finding what we want. After entering the variable name, type a comma to go to the next parameter. This is where we set the value we want the variable key to represent. Go ahead and type empID in quotes, making sure to include the space at the end. When using the let function, I like to put my variable and value pairs on their own line. To do this, first type a comma to move to the next variable name. Next, press Alt and Enter on a PC or Option and Enter on a Mac to go to a new line. Lastly, enter 4 spaces to indent the parameter. You don't have to use 4 spaces, you can use any number that looks good to you. After the spaces, we need to enter the next variable name. This variable will hold the equation for finding the starting point of the value we want to extract, so I'll simply call it start. To find the location of the employee ID, we need to start by finding the location of our key, which is empID plus the space. To find the location of one string inside another string, we can use the find function. Type the function name find and then an open parentheses. Enter the variable name key as the first parameter of find, which would be the same as typing empID and a space. Notice that typing the letter K shows a pop-up box with our variable name. We can either type the full name or press tab with the variable name highlighted in the function's pop-up. In this example, the value we want is at the top of the list, which means it's highlighted by default. If the value we want wasn't at the top of the list, we could use the up and down arrow keys to navigate through the list. Let me select key again and press tab. Type a comma to go to the next parameter. The second parameter of find is the text we would like to search for the value in the first parameter. For this equation, that's simply the value in column A, so we'll select cell A2. We don't need the third parameter for this function, so we can type a closing parentheses. As is, this find function will simply return the location of the E in empID. To get the starting location of the actual ID value, we need to offset the starting point by the number of characters in empID, again making sure to include the space. For this, we can use the len function, which returns the length of a string. We need to add this length to the value returned by the find equation, so we'll type a plus sign. Next, type the function name len and then an open parentheses. We could type the string empID and a space, but thanks to the let function, we have a better way. This value is stored in the variable named key, so like with the find function, we just need to enter the name key and then close the parentheses. We've set the starting point, now we need to set the ending point. This is the location of the first asterisk after our employee ID. Like with the starting location, we'll type a comma to move to the next variable name. Again, press Alt and Enter on a PC or Option and Enter on a Mac to go to a new line, followed by indenting 4 spaces. If we named our starting variable start, it's only fitting that we set the ending variable to end. Next, type a comma to go to the variable definition. We'll again rely on the find function to return the location of the first asterisk following the employee ID value. Type find and then an open parentheses. The first parameter is the value we want to search for in the second parameter. For our use case, we just need to enter an asterisk between two quotes. Next, type a comma to go to the second parameter. Like with the previous find function, we want to search within the text in cell A2. Unlike the previous find equation, we do need to use the third parameter here, so we'll type a comma. This parameter tells find from where it should start looking. Without this parameter, it would return the location of the first asterisk in the string, which occurs after the word lorem. We want the asterisk after the employee ID value. We can tell it to start searching from this location by entering the variable start as the starting location. Find will start from the first number of the employee ID, search from this point forward until it finds an asterisk, and then return that location. Go ahead and type a closing parentheses to complete the find function. It's now time to put all of these pieces together to build the mid function. Type a comma followed by Alt and Enter on a PC or Option and Enter on a Mac, and then 4 spaces. We don't need to set a variable name for this piece, as this is the final calculation of the let equation. This is where it all comes together and the magic happens. To start, type the function name mid followed by an open parentheses. Like with the find equations, the text we want to search is in cell A2. After selecting cell A2, enter a comma to go to the second parameter. This parameter provides the starting location for the value we want returned. This is the value we set in the variable named start. Type a comma to go to the last parameter. This parameter tells mid how many characters from the starting location it should return. We can calculate the number of characters to return by subtracting the starting location from the ending location. Type end, a minus sign, and then start. That's all we need for the mid function, so we can type a closing parentheses. Let's go to a new line to close out the let function. I don't indent this last parentheses so that it has roughly the same vertical alignment as the corresponding function name. We're finished. Press enter and admire your amazing work. The equation successfully extracts the employee ID 12345. Drag down the equation to cover all of the output values in column A. If you're getting value from this video, experienced a mild chuckle, or are just feeling generous, give those like and subscribe buttons a press. It helps out the channel and is greatly appreciated. Comparing the equation built with let against the non-let version shows how useful variable names can be. Not only can it make the equation more compact, it also makes it easier to read by separating the different arguments into their own logically named variable names. Additionally, if we need to make changes to the equation, we only have to do so in one place. For example, say we wanted to reuse this equation with a different set of output to search for a person's first name. We simply need to update the value tied to the variable name key from imp ID to first name. Only having to make the update in one place lowers the risk of introducing typos into the equation. This video showed how the ability to add variable names in an equation is extremely powerful. Check out this video to see another great example utilizing the let function to reduce the redundant impact of redundancy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.